Alright guys, how we doing? It's me again. It's Mr. Voiceman. It is your old pal James, coming to you from the wonderful floral couch where many a football game is watched. And in the words of Bang for Batman, let the games begin. Tonight's video, we're going to focus on the NFC East. As we all know, that is the best, second best division to watch when it comes to professional football. All the teams so close together the last few years. Last year, not so much, Philly. But a lot of different changes, a lot of new faces this year, so we're going to get right into it. So there's a lot to cover and go through. Start off with the Giants, as Berman says, the New York Football Giants. They went 9-7 last year. That was good enough to second place finish. Offensively, you can't argue with it. They end up finishing 6th overall in total offense. Rushing, middle of the pack. Passing, a little bit better. The injuries were the biggest concern when it came to passing. Hakeem Nicks was a big fan of him coming out in the draft. Was really hoping the Ravens could make a trade up to get him. They didn't. G-Men ended up landing him. He's been great, but the injury bug has been a huge concern for him. I think if you keep him on the field for most of the year last year, that's a big step up and more points that probably would net the Giants a couple more victories than what they got. Defensively, on the other hand, not good. Let's just go with that. Gave up more than they got in both assets. Finished 12th overall just with points per game, but pass defense, they finished 28th in the league, and then they finished 25th in run defense, and they'll really need to tighten the screws on D there. They end up losing starting running back Ahmad Bradshaw to free agency. He's now with the Colts. Decent sized loss, but I think Coughlin is banging really hard on David Wilson to be the new all-star power guy in New York. I personally, from what I've seen, I think he's on the right track. And hey, what choice do they have? Not much else to go on there. They lose Chris Canty, defensive tackle, to the Baltimore Ravens. I like the signing there. Sorry, we'll get to the AFC later. But they kind of came to the realization they had to get stronger, faster, and quicker on that pass rush and hope to come back to the disruptive front four that got them to the Super Bowl and got them a couple titles than what they're used to getting. Osi, he leaves and is now with the Falcons. Jason Pierre-Paul kind of had a down year last year. There's injuries all abound on this team, and to say they still finished 9-7, that's a pretty scary concept. And as most teams will know, if your pass rush can get to the quarterback quick enough, that causes fits for those wide receivers, and that secondary ends up becoming a lot better, and they need it to be a lot better compared to what it was last season. So honestly, that's the big key. The offensive line has been bolted up with their first-round draft pick, Pugh. He'll be moved to center after a injury to the long-term center. They've done some reshuffling, and it seems as though Eli's going to have some time to find his men downfield, and Victor Cruz, Hakeem Nicks. They lose Dominic Hickson in free agency, but Ruben Randall, a lot of people going gaga for this guy, so expecting big things from him. Ramses Barden as well. He came on late last year. If you're a fantasy guy, you know what I'm talking about. So good things for the Giants here. I'm not going to call the predictions yet, but it's going to be a tight-knit race in the NFC East this year. You'll see why in a minute. Next we get to the Cowboys, as some of you all out there call them the Cowgirls. Me personally, Jerry Jones's team, that's what they should be called, because, if he would just mind his damn business, this team would be a lot better. They finished 8-8. That's good enough for 3rd overall. Offensive pass-wise, they were outstanding. 3rd in the league in yardage, over 4,700 yards. Rushing league, on the other hand, 31 out of 32 teams. That's not going to get the job done. And also defense really kind of lagged in what you would expect from something like not a Rex Ryan, but a Ryan family defense. Now they bring in the new OC to take some of the pressure off Jason Garrett. He will welcome that change because Lord knows if nothing happens soon, he will be fired. I guarantee it. And they end up bringing in Monty Kiffin to be the D coordinator, and he switches them into a 4-3 scheme, which they've got the personnel to do it, especially with the likes of DeMarcus Ware on the outside, as opposed to having him as a outside linebacker, being able to bring him up as a down lineman on the end. I really feel he comes better from that three-point stance. So really could see him going for the sack title this year and rivaling Jared Allen in the NFC. They get some help up the middle through the draft, and they also add Will Allen at safety from Pittsburgh in free agency. They needed help in that regard. I mean, the pass rush was decent at times, but not enough to be constant, and that's kind of where they got torched when it came to those long passes downfield. They also lose Mike Jenkins at corner. So I'm going to have to expect some big things for some up-and-comers on that defensive side of the football. But when you've got Miles Austin, Dez Bryant, and the likes of Tony Romo thrown into him, and yes, he makes mistakes, we all know that, you can't argue with the offensive production. And if their new offensive coordinator has any sense, he'll put the ball into Marco Murray's hands, and he will let stuff happen that way, because that guy knows how to run through those tackles, and he knows how to make big plays. Just as me, being a Baltimore fan and watching that game last year. Oh, that was painful. Anyway, then we come to the Redskins. They actually managed to win the NFC East last year, 10-6, large in part to RG3. But the backup quarterback, Mr. Cousins, he was actually fairly decent. Not too much of a drop-off in skill set. Not the runner that RG3 is, obviously. But therein lies the big problem. RG3 comes back from basically a completely imploded knee. They're already putting him in week 1 against Philly, which should be interesting to see. Will he still have that same mobility that he did last year? There's no denying the kid's work ethic. I mean, he's an absolute physical monster. But we don't know for sure if it's going to work the same way. Well, Shanahan really wanted to kind of ease off of the pistol for the time being and have him just a straight under center signal caller. He's got the talent around him to do it. Alfred Morris, absolute stud of a running back. Expect big things from him again this year. And Pierre Garçon as well. When he was healthy, it was the security blanket that every rookie receiver or quarterback needs, and it just so happened it was a speedster on the outside, which got mad yardage and mad points. And then that's really the whole thing when it comes to them. If they can still capitalize on what they did last year and they can stay healthy, I see no reason whatsoever why Washington can't be in the mix for the title again. So this would be an interesting one to see on that side. And then last but not least, I saved them for last because there was the most to cover. The Eagles, they go 4-12, which I honestly think was kind of the locker room saying, okay, we're tired of Andy Reid, we need a change, we need a new vocabulary and a new dynamic in this locker room. So they go and they get Chip Kelly, the head coach from Oregon Ducks. Now, if anyone's familiar with the Oregon Ducks out there, they are known for a high-octane, fast-paced, speed offense. Ed Dixon, Ravens tight end, he comes from Oregon, and you've seen what he can do. A speedster up the middle, decent hands, good blocker, but it's all about that athleticism on those offensive teams of Chips. So he comes in, gets Pat Shurmur as his offensive coordinator, and they bring in so many people on defense because that was the huge problem they had. And given the switch that they want to go back to that 3-4, it was needed, given also, with all the people kind of on the mid to later stages of their career, they had to get younger and faster on that side of the ball. So they end up getting Connor Barwin from Houston, who is an outstanding down lineman end, but they're going to have to bank on him for being an outstanding upright linebacker on the outside with this switch. Get Patrick Chung, who was another good linebacker from New England. Get Kerry Williams to help that secondary, which I think he's a system corner anyway, but time will tell there. And they also managed to get Aurelius Ben from Tampa Bay and Felix Jones from Dallas. They really revamped and got a lot of dynamic people on both sides here. They lose Nnamdi, but he really didn't work out in that zone coverage. He's always been a man defender. And I think that's kind of the problem that he ran into in Philly. He lost that reputation. Being able to go out to San Fran again and play his style of football, I expect him to be back to Pro Bowl status really soon. So outside of getting faster, it all comes down to health once again. Michael Vick was just named the starter for Philly. If he's going to be playing a pistol and a chance to run and a chance to throw on the run, given the weapons he has around him, this could be a hellaciously tough offense to stop. But at 32 years old, or 33, I could be wrong, are we really banking on Vick playing a full season healthy? I don't think so. Now we also enter Shady McCoy, running back from Philly. He had kind of a down year last year, but I think it's because after Vick was hurt, everyone was, focusing in on him. We stop Shady McCoy. These quarterbacks cannot hit those speedsters down there. We'll be able to take it to them. So, all health aside and everything else that I've just covered, how do I see this one folding out? Well, I would love to be able to say to Redskins fans that, hey, guess what? You guys are going to win the division again. But until I know for certain that they're going to be able to avoid the injuries like a Rakpo, and hopefully RG3 can still play at the same level he did before he was injured. Till I know that, I can't give the division outright to the Skins. Now, Giants, I hate to say, while they've done the improvements that I guess they were able to do given their cap scenario, I don't know if enough was done to help right the problems on the outer edges of that defense. The pass rush will help, but I still think they're vulnerable to the deep ball, and that might end up becoming their Achilles heel, especially in this division against Dez Bryant, Miles Austin, and Garcon and Deshaun Jackson alike. So I have to put the Giants in second place, looking up at the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, that's right, I said it. The Dallas Cowboys will find a way, given the movement of people, personnel, and coaching staff, to walk away with the NFC East crown. But my dark horse are the Eagles. If the health is there and this octane offense that Chip Kelly brings prevails on the NFL level, they could go after some records. That's how sick they have of an athlete in every position. So like I say, the Redskins, I don't pass judgment on them until I get to see them in action. For the time being, I have the Cowboys number 1, Giants number 2, Eagles is my dark horse, possible to leapfrog them both and take this crown. But until then, guys in Dallas, breathe easy and have fun, because it's going to be a fun season to watch. Y'all might think I'm crazy after that one, but hey, it's just an opinion video show. If you'd like, I could recommend maybe drinking Jaeger. It actually does make the show sound better, as one of our local radio personalities likes to say on his show. But just thanks for taking the time to watch. Tell your friends, tell your family. I try to keep it clean so you can also tell the kiddies if they like football too. But until then, y'all, thanks for watching. I'll be back with you real soon, hopefully with my next preview of the NFC. And hopefully before the season starts, I could actually get my butt in gear and get to the AFC. So until then, guys, have a good one and happy drafting for you fantasy players.